it's Kevin with Gunner Games. Whew, it's been forever since I have done a video here on YouTube, as you can tell. I have been incredibly sick. So for the past 2 weeks, I've been basically bedridden with this nasty flu that's been going around. And I was not immune to it, unfortunately. So anyway, I thought I better get a video out today. And there's a lot to talk about in the market right now with both Magic the Gathering and now with Pokemon. I guess Pokemon's been going nuts for a while now. And the debacle of Prismatic Evolutions, as you can see right there. So, I'm going to do a little bit of talking about Prismatic Evolutions and unfortunately giving the bearer of bad news. I think everyone's pretty clear about this right now. And game stores don't have a lot that do a lot of Pokemon. I, unfortunately, have not been doing a lot of Pokemon since the lull of this era of the early Scarlet and Violet. I was basically just utilizing like bits and pieces here, just ordering enough for the store, ordering whenever a patron would want some Pokemon, I'd order it. But the problem with Pokemon in the past like 2 years, it has been so unprofitable even for people to buy at distribution price. So I've explained this before. I don't know how these sellers on like TCG Player and eBay can make ends meet with the margins, because oftentimes you can buy on TCG Player, at least in the Scarlet and Violet early era, for cheaper than I could get it from distributors. So it was just pointless for patrons to order from me. And what of course that leads to is then when things like Surging Sparks, now when Prismatic Evolution is, our numbers are so low comparatively to how much we've been ordering the past year. And distributors got insanely greedy in my opinion, because Pokemon does not have the regulations that the WPN does, which then allocates a certain amount to stores running tournaments or stores that have purchased a certain amount. That's the one thing I can give kudos to Wizards of the Coast, is at least I know like a guaranteed amount from Wizards of the Coast that my primary distributor has to sell me. Whereas Pokemon, it just ends up becoming, whoever has the biggest pockets gets the lion's share of everything. So, bearer of bad news for everyone that did order Prismatic Evolution. This is what we're working with. So I do have one more distributor that has not arrived yet. So there is maybe a little bit more. But this is 4 distributors right here. This is utilizing 4 distributors with over 800 elite trainers ordered through the 4 distributors. So I just, did a blanket 200 across the board to see what I'd get for distributors. So I think I have about 40 of the Prismatic Evolutions. So I barely averaged a case per distributor. I think one distributor I had as low as 4 elite trainers. One of them gave me 2 of these. I got it's binder collections. 2 binder collections from a distributor, and 3. You can see the last distributor that I got in. 4 poster collections, 2 binder collections. It was like 2 of these sticker collections and like 4 elite trainers, and that was with hundreds of ordered of each one. So unfortunately, that's what I'm working with. I know it's going to lead to a lot of disappointed people. We are going to have to keep some of this back for the store too, because I have a store I have to, the operations have to continue here. And unfortunately, that's just the way of the world. This is what's been frustrating me lately about this TCG market, is when it seems like we can get product, like during the Scarlet and Violet era when I could have bought and bought and bought and bought, I have no buyers for it. No one wants to buy it, and I just end up sitting on dead product and losing money that way. And then when we have a hot market, then no one wants to sell it. So it's incredibly hard to get product from distributors, because then you start competing with everyone that has access. Like I mentioned with Pokemon, Pokemon does not have any sort of specific guidelines to set up with a distributor. There are a lot of I know I've talked about it in the past of particular YouTubers that frustrate me because they're able to do things out of their basement without any sort of skin in the game, in my opinion, of creating a game store, and have the exact same contracts, or even a lot of times better contracts with places like distributors for getting Pokemon product, and then they just are able to really outcompete at that point, having the lack of overhead and just not all the day-to-day operations of a game store. They're able to focus even more on that online and just blow things out and be over competitive in that environment. So I'm hoping Pokemon will go back to doing what they used to do. They used to allocations like the WPN did. If you did run tournaments, if you did have signage at your store, if you did promote Pokemon, you at least got some products. So anyway, that's what we're working with. Unfortunately, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but patrons that did order this I'm going to be frank with you here. $40 and $50 patrons are going to get 2 elite trainers. That's it. You can tell I don't have any. I had hundreds upon hundreds of, it seems like almost everyone ordered Prismatic Evolutions, which is a stark contrast to the something like, what was it, Temporal Mastery, when I didn't have any orders. It was like literally like 1 or 2 patrons ordered. That was it. And now we've come full circle from, I guess not full circle, 180, of where, 1 to 2 patrons with literally every patron ordered this Prismatic Evolutions. And these suckers are going for a lot of money. So they're like 160 bucks. So I feel bad for not being able to get everyone, but I know I'm going to disappoint a lot of people, but even if you are a $50 patron and this is the only thing you've ordered for months, you've just made your money back right here on your 2 elite trainers that are coming in. So for transparency's sake, these were $35. This is all this cost from distributors was 35 bucks. And they're going for in the 160s on the open market. And I think Zach was saying that one of the cards out of this sold for like, what, $18,000, which is some ridiculous amount of, some graded. How did they already get a card graded from this set? This is what's so crazy. Like I said, I'm still waiting for one distributor to even give me theirs, because I believe this releases, what, Friday? So technically it's not even released yet. And we already have people grading and selling cards at this point. So anyway, so the market is very, very hot, as I mentioned. It sucks that I was sick. Like I just had the perfect storm of stuff with Chloe getting the diagnosis of bone cancer, and we've been dealing with that. And then we had the holidays, which the holidays fell on the worst days possible. I hate when holidays are midweek, because the New Year's and Christmas, it just ends up disrupting everything. It means so like Mondays are worthless to work because a lot of times distributors had skeleton crews, and then Fridays are worthless to come back in. And same thing, distributors a lot of times were closed for that. And it kind of sucks though, because there was a lot of activity in the market, and unfortunately a lot of things gone now. So now's the time to buy. We're heading into the tax season, so there are a lot of things that are still really, really good pickups, and I'm kicking myself for a lot of them. So Bloomberg had a reprint of Commander decks. They're gone already. I expected them to be like the last set of reprints where you at least have a couple of weeks. And Ixalan also had a reprint wave of Commander decks. They are also gone, and it was so fast how they evaporated out of the distribution level. Like I said, I thought I had time. I thought I had time to get better, start feeling better, post some things out to patrons, see how many they wanted, start collecting money, all that good stuff. And the time that it took for them to get restocked and completely gutted from the distributor was insane. And now we're looking at numbers. People have already done the numbers of like the Ixalan collectors that are sold on TC Player. It is definitely beating, or not Ixalan, the Innistrad Remastered. It's definitely beating all the other remastered sets. I actually think it's a pretty trash product in my opinion, but Wizards of the Coast putting serialized cards in it, of course, is going to sell at least the collectors. Now, Play Boosters is another story. We can get oodles upon oodles upon oodles of Play Boosters from Innistrad Remastered. I wouldn't touch that product with a 10-foot pole. I think it's going to crash incredibly bad, because if you actually look at the EV from Innistrad Remastered, if you take away what the collector boosters offer and just look at what Play Boosters offer, you can't get all of the bells and whistles you can out of the Play Boosters you can of collectors, and they've created a superior product. I've never seen such a top-heavy product from orders from patrons, where I had hundreds upon hundreds of people ordering the collector boosters, and I think I had like 20 Play Boosters was all that was ordered. And it just shows us when Wizards of the Coast clearly picks a superior product, then no one wants to buy the regular product. Speaking of which, we have another moronic company that is going to follow suit. I get why they do this, but unfortunately I think that has collector boosters actually been good for Wizards of the Coast? Probably, because it's really driven their cost down. I've made this comparison in videos before, that they sell those arena starter kits for $4, and a collector booster for like 190, and I guarantee you that those cost the exact amount to print as one another. There's not like a heavier cost to, or larger cost of printing the collector boosters. And so just with material cost of the manufacturing warehousing, collector boosters are just an insane margin for Wizards of the Coast. However, I don't know how it has affected the ecosystem of how many draft boosters, set boosters, and all the other stuff that's been able for Wizards of the Coast to sell, when all of the purchases eventually just collapse into collector boosters. Because as I mentioned, especially now where you could make the argument that pound for pound, set boosters were as good as a collector booster. So if you were, to buy a collector booster versus, 2 set boosters for a collector, or whatever the cost comparison between the two, is you'd get as much value out of the set boosters. The same cannot be said for play boosters. Play boosters were the ultimate switcheroo. They were the ultimate like shrinkflation, where they, well, I guess it's not shrinkflation this point, where they basically said that they're going to have a better product coming out of play versus draft. But if you actually look at it, play are just slightly better than draft and definitely inferior to how the set boosters used to have, like the list slots and all these other slots that actually could have some really good stuff. Now, play boosters occasionally can, and depends on the set, and we'll have to wait going forward, going in it. But right now, they've really made that discrepancy between what was set boosters, which is now play boosters, which is actually more expensive than set boosters because they added the packs and then just took the set booster price and then added the extra packs. And yeah, so and now aren't we going down packs? I believe that now we're doing 30. Isn't that what I read? That one of the next sets coming out for Wizards of the Coast is going to have 30, not 36. I believe I read that somewhere. Oh man, I'm so out of it. Like I said, it was just a terrible time for me to get sick because so much things has changed in this market and it's just gone like crazy in the past couple of days. But anyway, going back to Innistrad Remastered, be careful with the play boosters. I think there will be a dump with them because that's another thing that I saw, which might be a good thing for play boosters, is the allocations for collector boosters are actually quite low. So I get about 50% of what I got for Dominaria or Ravnica Remastered collector boosters. And so we are tending to see that Wizards of the Coast is changing directions with and I believe there was an announcement, like I can't find, I've had it linked to me, a lot of people with the gist of that Wizards of the Coast is now only going to be printing to demand play boosters. Everything else is just going to be a one and done or maybe a one in a trickle of particular products. And that the release of things like the bundles and the release of collector boosters and commander decks and all of those are going to be more limited than they were in previous sets. So if that's the case, and play boosters are the only option, then when a set is hot, then I'm sure it'll end up like Lord of the Rings, where even the draft boosters will sell quite ferociously. So anyway, we have, like I said, a lot going on. I'm going to try to move on things a lot quicker because the market has just changed. As I said in the start of this video, it's so crazy with how the market's, where it's like we can never hit that what is the bear, the mama bear, papa bear, the too hot or too cold. There's never the just right soup. It's always like either the market is too ferocious and everything's getting eaten up and you can't get stuff from distributors. Like the minute it goes in at distribution level, it gets bought out and there's no even chance to make a sale or a profit because there's no supply. Or you have those markets where it's too cold and nothing moves, nothing sells, and you just get absolutely destroyed by dead product building up. So I just want that lovely market where things sell for a decent profit margin and I can get stuff. But unfortunately, we are headed into that insane hot market. And there are a couple of things too that I've noticed that are very interesting, and I'll have to talk about it. I'm definitely thinking about reviving my Rogue Market channel and doing a daily pick of what I think is a good product, because right now there's starter commanders. So if starter commanders, you remember those were the really terrible commander decks that they made that were supposed to be a really low intro level product. Those are being reprinted. And I believe on TCG Play, they're going for $200 for a set, and they cost $75 for a set. That's it. So the margins are insane right now. I mean, you're over 2xing your money if that's the case. And I believe it's the Dragon deck out of the starter deck that's actually going for quite a lot. And that's one thing I've noticed that where the market's changed a lot is commander players. So commander players used to be very specific on buying singles and very specific on buying bling stuff. And I think that has completely shifted. And I actually notice it in my locals. I don't have as many of the blingers as I used to. Like the people that used to be like the quintessential commander player of 3 or 4 years ago was someone that was very, very entrenched in the game. They weren't casual by any stretch of the imagination. They were really into Magic, but they didn't like the competitive side of it. They really liked the collecting side of it and kind of the kind of showing off and casually playing. And they blinged out their commander decks. And they were notorious for really buying singles and collector boosters. That was my demographic that had the appetite for the collector boosters. And now what I've seen locally at my store is a shift to this like super casual, I want to play a lot of decks. I don't want to spend a lot of time organizing my cards. I don't want to, really get, deep into blinging out decks or tuning decks. I just want to play a lot of Commander Night, and have fun with various decks. And what I've noticed with that particular demographic is they buy the precons like crazy. By far, here at Gonro Games, the thing that sells more than anything is precons, where it seems like all of the Commander players now will buy them all. And then sometimes they'll buy multiples of them. And it's so hilarious. I'll be talking to Zach, like, where'd we get these cards in? And he'll be like, oh, Jonas sold it to us. And I'm like, yeah, he just sold us the entire precon he bought 2 weeks ago. It's like right here, I can tell. He's like too lazy. He's like, I have all these cards I don't want anymore. And then what's so hilarious about these people is then they'll send us a deck list, and then I'll literally resell them their own cards that they sold that they, either forgot or didn't care or didn't, take the time to even take those cards out or think they'd need those cards like Cultivates and Soul Rings in the future. And then we just sell them right back. So it's pretty hilarious with that. So anyway, more of this thought process is going with starter decks is I think starter deck reprint is actually a very, very good buy because all of these products, like you can look at like boosters, like draft boosters and set boosters and compare them like the commander decks of their time period. And many of those have gone up like crazy, where draft boosters and play boosters are still quite stagnant from things like Baldur's Gate or things like New Companion. You got to remember those eras too. Those commander decks were absolutely oversaturated. They were oftentimes being blown out by distributors because there's too many of them printed at the time. And that period of time, people were not, you didn't have that appetite for the pre-constructed decks like you do now. So it's kind of interesting to see the focal point of where people are purchasing their or prioritizing their purchases. So yeah, I always have to be on top of that too. And like I said, I'm kicking myself with both the Bloom Burrow and the Innistrad because those things are going to bounce back. So Lord of the Rings is going to get one more, is what I've heard, print of Commander decks. I would not miss out on the Lord of the Rings Commander decks. If you look at things like Warhammer, and even now looking at like Fallout starting to go up, and even Doctor Who, those are things I wouldn't wait on as a Commander decks because you have to realize that those are things like I always used to wonder what would age better, the set boosters or the draft boosters. And the question was, well, will there always be those casual pods that would want to draft a draft booster, and therefore it would have that additional stripping of the supply just from people wanting to draft, and set boosters did not have that. Well, the answer, the story is no, that people are still going for the value over the utility of drafting. And so set boosters are aging better than draft boosters are of that time period. But now comparing that too with the stripping of the supply just on people that want precons because they just want to play that out of the box, like the precon as it is out of the box and have fun with it, that is way higher than I thought was ever there. And even the trashiest of trashy commander decks like Kamigawa and Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow are starting to be completely eaten up at the gone at distribution level. When we're talking TCG player, they're no longer the cheap things. So if I was a betting man going forward, commander decks. I used to be all in on like the bundles. Now if I were to have overstock of any product right now, if I were to really go deep on any product going forward, it's the commander decks. Those are the ones that have been aging quite well. So anyway, I want to get back to the swing of this sort of stuff. I appreciate everyone that stuck around. I apologize for, like I said, just the perfect storm of events that have gone on in the past month with, just headaches and heartaches and then sickness and all, a bunch of everything in between. So we're back in the swing of things, and hopefully I can, like you said, my voice is finally back. I'm not spitting up blood every 10 seconds. So that's always good. And now we'll be back in the swing of things of looking forward. Like I said, there's a lot of meat to talk about right now in this market. It is crazy what is going on, and we can scratch the surface with one piece. And I was going to talk about Star Wars Unlimited when I was on my little collector's boosters rant. They're making collector boosters, which is just stupid in my opinion, because I think they need to let their game age well before they really start trying to milk the collectors. Now all they're going to do is guarantee that no one's going to buy the regular boxes. They're going to wait for collectors. Anyway, So yeah, lots of stuff to talk about. I need to get these shipped off. Like I said, I apologize to all the patrons that I'm going to disappoint, but for transparency, I mean, this is it. This is all we have. You're looking at like, what, 40 ETBs maybe, and less than that a poster collection, binder collection in these 3-packs. And so I've done the numbers with all the people that put them in. It's going to be 2 per patron for $40 and $50, and below that is just going to get 1. And it kind of sucks. It is what it is. Hopefully there will be a reprint in the future of this. But as it is standing, that's all we got. If you are interested in joining the Patreon, it's all, we'll always have the link in the description below. We're going to be revamping it. I'm going to be restructuring how the tiers work to try to better serve everyone and give everyone an idea of what they can get. Because I think it's a great operation, and I think that it's something that most people, I think, could benefit from being a part of. We hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with Gunner Games. Thanks for watching.